What if I told you that the reason she isn't obsessed with you yet has nothing to do with your looks, your bank account, or even the perfect line you haven't found? What if the real difference between the man she forgets in a week and the man she can't stop thinking about is something she feels in the silence, before you even open your mouth? Right now, without realizing it, you are broadcasting signals every time you walk into a room, every time you look at her, every time you stay quiet, every time you respond to a message or choose not to. And those signals are either making her nervous system relax into you, or making her body quietly file you under forgettable. The silent psychology that gets a woman addicted to your presence is not about tricks or fake confidence. It is about how her body, her emotions, and her subconscious read you long before her logical mind has a chance to analyze anything. If you understand this, you can stop asking, "What should I say?" and start asking a much more powerful question. Who am I being in front of her? So in this video, I want you to forget about pickup lines. Forget about trying to impress. Forget about copying someone else's personality. You and I are going to dissect what really hooks a woman on a deep, almost irrational level. Your presence, not your performance, not your promises. Your presence, the way you stand, the way you breathe, the way you hold eye contact, the way you do not chase validation, the way you respond when she tests you. All of that is psychology in action, and most men have no idea they're sabotaging themselves in silence. You're going to understand why some men barely speak and still command attention, why some men barely text and still stay in her mind, and why others talk non-stop, send paragraphs and good morning messages, and get nothing. You're going to understand it, and more importantly, you're going to know how to become the man whose presence she can't get enough of. Let's start with a hard truth. Women do not get addicted to words. They get addicted to how they feel around you. You can say everything right and still not trigger anything in her, if your energy is needy, chaotic, or insecure. On the other hand, you can say very little and still make her intrigued, calm, turned on, and pulled in, if your inner world is stable. Attraction, at a deep level, is a nervous system game. Her body is constantly asking, often without her knowing, "Can I relax around this man? Can I trust his energy? Does he have himself handled? Or do I feel like I need to mother him, fix him, or protect myself from him?" If her body says no, it doesn't matter how clever or nice you are. If her body says yes, you become magnetic without trying so hard. So the method I'm going to walk you through is built around this: mastering the silent signals you send. Think of it as the silent method. 6 pillars that, when you embody them, change the way women experience you: stillness, intention, leadership, edge, novelty, and tension. You don't have to remember the acronym perfectly. What matters is that by the end of this, you're going to know exactly what to do differently the next time you look into a woman's eyes, sit next to her, or stand in front of her. You're going to understand why silence can be more powerful than talking, why walking away at the right moment can create more desire than chasing, and why treating your own life as a mission makes you 10 times more compelling than any scripted alpha behavior. Let's start with stillness. Imagine for a second the version of you who walks into a room and doesn't rush to fill space. You don't fidget. You don't laugh too loudly just to be accepted. You don't talk fast because you're afraid of awkward silences. You are comfortable in your own body. You walk, you pause, you look around, you notice, and you settle. That inner stillness is one of the strongest silent signals you can send, because most people walk around in hyper-anxious energy, phones buzzing, attention scattered, desperate to be seen and liked. When a woman sees a man who doesn't seem rushed, who isn't trying to prove anything, her subconscious reads, "This man is safe in himself. He's not begging for a place here. He already has it." That instantly shifts the dynamic. Stillness is not about being cold or distant. It's about not being reactive. In Seduction, the reactive man always loses. When she delays answering a text, he panics. When she makes a sarcastic comment, he gets defensive. When she mentions another man, he feels threatened and tries to one-up him. All of that reveals a chaotic nervous system. The still man hears the same comment, sees the same delay, experiences the same uncertainty, and doesn't crumble. He can feel the discomfort, but he doesn't need to act from it. He can stay. And that to a woman feels like strength. How do you build this stillness in practical terms? First, by training your body to be your ally, not your enemy. Slow your breathing. When you talk to a woman, do not rush your sentences. Allow small silences. Relax your shoulders. Keep your feet firmly grounded. Lift your chest slightly. These are tiny things, but they communicate massive things about you. That you're not in fight or flight mode. That you can hold tension without collapsing into either aggression or submission. Stillness also means you don't overshare to fill discomfort. Most men think connection is created by dumping their whole life story in the first hour. That often comes from anxiety, not confidence. The man who has mastered the silent psychology of presence is selective. He reveals himself slowly, deliberately. He's not hiding. He's just not asking for instant emotional intimacy from someone he barely knows. This makes her want to know more. She feels the weight of your silence, the fact that you're holding something back, not in a deceptive way, but in a self-respecting way. You are essentially saying without words, I value my inner world. I don't put it all on the table for random approval. Now, stillness without intention becomes passivity, and passivity kills attraction. So the second pillar is intention. Intention means you know what you want and why you're there. It doesn't mean you announce it bluntly. It means that internally you are not aimless. A man without intention feels like dead energy. A man with intention, even when he says very little, feels like a directed force. Women feel that. When you interact with her, ask yourself, what am I here to create? It could be as simple as, I'm here to enjoy this moment and see if there is chemistry. It could be, I want to get to know her beyond the surface. It could be, I want to flirt, polarize, and see if there is mutual attraction. The important thing is that you are not just drifting, waiting for her to lead the energy. Intention also means your attention is focused. Most men are not actually present with her. They are in their heads evaluating themselves. Am I doing it right? Does she like me? Did that joke land? What do I say next? She feels that split. The silent psychology of presence demands that your attention be on her, on the moment, not on your own self-image. When you look at her, really look at her. Notice her expressions, her energy, the little shifts in her tone, the way she relaxes or tenses up, the topics that light her up. You're not doing this to manipulate. You're doing it because a man who is truly present is rare, and presence is addictive. When you are fully there, you give her something her own mind is starving for, a break from being the one who has to manage everything, think about everything, worry about everything. She can drop into the moment with you. This is where a lot of seduction methods actually agree. Underneath all the fluff, the man who leads attention, who guides the emotional rhythm of the interaction, becomes the reference point. He becomes the frame. Intention sets that frame. You're not just reacting to her topics, you're steering the interaction subtly. If you notice the energy is flat, you bring playfulness. If you sense she's stressed, you bring calm. If you feel she's testing you, you smile instead of collapsing or over-explaining. Intention turns you into a creator of the vibe, rather than a consumer of it. And that's where the third pillar comes in. Leadership. Leadership in seduction is not about controlling her. It's about taking responsibility for where things are going. Most men are waiting for permission. They wait for her to show obvious interest before they flirt. They wait for her to ask for a date before they suggest one. They wait for everything to be safe and certain before they risk anything. That passivity kills desire because it signals fear. When you embody quiet leadership, you're willing to move first. You invite her into your world instead of orbiting hers. You suggest plans instead of always asking, what do you want to do? You decide certain things. You have preferences. You choose a place, a time, a vibe. Leadership is attractive because it allows her to relax her masculine side. In modern life, many women are constantly in control mode, making decisions, planning, managing, solving. When they meet a man who can take some of that weight without being oppressive, their feminine side exhale. But that only feels safe if your leadership is grounded in respect. The silent psychology here is, I lead, but I listen. I move forward, but I pay attention to your boundaries. I'm decisive, but not domineering. You show this in small ways. You offer your hand as you cross the street, but you don't force it. You move slightly closer when the energy feels right, but you're attentive to her body language. You're not asking for permission for every micro-step. You're simply tuned in. Now, stillness, intention, and leadership make you solid and clear, but to make her addicted, to make her think of you when you're not there, you need something else, edge. Edge is that small element of unpredictability, that hint of danger or wildness that says, this man is not completely tamed by life. A man without edge feels like a safe colleague. A man with only edge and no stability feels like chaos. You want the balance, safe enough to trust, wild enough to intrigue. Your edge can show up in many ways. It might be your unapologetic opinions, your passion for something that is not conventional, your willingness to say no when most people would say yes for approval, your comfort with desire without shame. The key is that you are not desperately trying to be liked. You're willing to be misunderstood, disliked, or rejected, rather than betray yourself. Edge is also communicated by the fact that your life has a direction that does not revolve around her. This is one of the most important aspects of the silent psychology of presence. She must feel that while you are deeply present with her when you are together, you are not emotionally homeless without her. You have a mission, values, discipline, routines, projects, standards. You are not looking at her to give your life meaning. You are inviting her to join a life that already has meaning. That combination, deep presence plus independence, is what creates emotional addiction. When she feels how fully you show up in the moment, and also senses that you disappear into your own world afterwards without chasing her, she begins to think about you. She wonders what you're doing. She feels the contrast. That's where the fifth pillar comes in. Novelty. Novelty is the brain's way of saying, pay attention, this matters. If every interaction with you feels the same tone, same topics, same emotional level, her nervous system adapts and you fade into the background. To become addictive, your presence must create emotional variety while still being anchored in your stable core. That means sometimes you are light and teasing, sometimes grounded and deep, sometimes playful, sometimes quiet and intense. You're not a flat line, you're a rhythm. But, and this is crucial, that rhythm is authentic, not manufactured. You're not acting. You're simply allowing more of your real range to be expressed. Novelty also means you don't become predictable in your availability. You're not instantly replying at all times as if you have nothing going on. You're not constantly there on command. You respond, you engage, but you also disappear into your life. Not as a tactic, but as a reality. You have things to build, to learn, to conquer. When a woman senses that your time is valuable and your attention is selective, she leans in. When your time and attention feel cheap and always on sale, she leans out. This is basic psychology. We value what is scarce and meaningful, not what is always desperate to be consumed. And finally, there is tension. Tension is what every great seduction method ultimately tries to teach, in one way or another. It's the art of not rushing to relieve the emotional charge. Most men are terrified of tension. A pause in the conversation, they fill it. A compliment, they instantly downplay it. A moment of eye contact, they break it and look away. A suggestive comment, they either become awkward or vulgar. A woman's test, they argue or apologize too much. But tension is the bridge between neutrality and desire. When you can hold it, without collapsing into anxiety or forcing an outcome, you become dangerous in a good way. Think about a simple moment. You look at her, she looks back, and instead of glancing away immediately, you hold her gaze just a fraction longer than most men would. Not in a creepy way, in a calm, grounded way. You let a half smile appear. You say nothing. That silence is charged. That tiny moment can create more attraction than 1,000 words, because her body feels that you are not afraid of the electricity between you. Or imagine a moment where she teases you, half testing you, half flirting. Instead of explaining yourself, defending yourself, or trying to win the joke, you take a breath, meet her eyes, and say something simple, with a relaxed tone. You're cute when you try to provoke me. And then you let the words hang. Again, you're not trying to win. You're comfortable in the tension. Tension also means you don't rush physical escalation out of fear that you will lose the chance. Scarcity mindset makes men impatient. Abundance mindset makes men deliberate. When you're deliberate, you can enjoy each stage of connection instead of trying to fast forward. That, ironically, speeds attraction up because she feels that you're not trying to consume her. You're savoring the interaction. The subconscious message is, I am not desperate. I can wait. I choose. That feeling of being chosen by a man who is clearly able to walk away is one of the most addictive experiences a woman can have. Now, all of these pillars, stillness, intention, leadership, edge, novelty, tension, are powerful, but they won't stick if you try to fake them for her while neglecting yourself. The silent psychology that hooks a woman starts when you're alone, not when you're with her. It's in the way you treat your body when no one is watching. It's in the discipline you have with your time. It's in the standards you maintain with the people you allow into your life. It's in your relationship with your own emotions. If you're constantly numbing yourself with distractions, if you have no clear direction, if you abandon yourself just to please others, your presence will feel hollow. You might manage to impress someone for a short time, but you will not become addictive. So let's get practical. Ask yourself, right now, how often do you sit in silence with yourself without escaping into a screen? How often do you train your body, not just to look good, but to feel solid, strong, and alive? How often do you keep your word to yourself, waking up when you said you would, doing the work you said you'd do, saying no when something violates your values? Every time you keep or break your word to yourself, you are shifting your own internal psychology. Women feel that. They might not know why, but they sense the difference between a man who respects himself and a man who is performing confidence while secretly abandoning himself. You also need to look at how you handle rejection and tests, because this is where most men abandon their silent psychology and collapse into boy energy. When she pulls back a little, do you instantly chase, double text, over-explain, ask what's wrong 10 times? When she challenges you, do you crumble, apologize for existing, or become aggressive and defensive? These reactions show that you're not actually still. You're reacting from your wounds, not your center. A man who has mastered this method can feel the sting of rejection without letting it define him. He understands that attraction is not owed, that not every woman will respond, and that his value isn't determined by one person's approval. That deeper security allows him to relax, to let go, to move on when needed. And ironically, that often increases her attraction, because she sees that her reaction doesn't control his entire emotional state. The silent psychology that gets her addicted to your presence also includes something many men avoid: standards. Not standards to punish her or play games, but standards that reflect your self-respect. Ask yourself, what behavior do you actually accept? If she is constantly disrespectful, always late, always flirty with others in front of you, and you just swallow it, your presence loses weight. You are telling her and yourself, I will tolerate anything as long as you stay. That neediness kills desire. On the other hand, when you calmly set boundaries without drama, without ultimatums yelled in anger, you show her that being in your life is a privilege, not a right. For example, if she constantly cancels last minute, you don't chase or complain endlessly. You simply stop offering your time with the same enthusiasm. You invest in people who invest back. That quiet withdrawal of access is a powerful psychological signal. It tells her, I don't beg for connection. I choose who I give my energy to. Another crucial aspect of this method is your relationship with desire itself. Many men feel ashamed of wanting a woman. They either hide it behind nice guy behavior, or they express it in a crude, uncalibrated way. Both extremes are repelling. The silent psychology of presence embraces desire without apology and without pressure. When you look at her, you allow yourself to feel your attraction. You don't pretend to be indifferent, but you also don't make her responsible for validating that desire. You're not saying, please choose me so that I can feel like a man. You're saying, without words, I find you attractive, I enjoy you, and regardless of what you choose, I remain who I am. That subtle difference changes everything. She feels your masculinity, but she doesn't feel trapped by it. To refine your presence even further, start paying attention to your voice. Your voice is one of the most direct tools of silent psychology. A rushed, high, shaky voice signals insecurity. A slow, grounded, resonant voice signals calm authority. You don't need a naturally deep voice to do this. You just need to slow down, breathe from your diaphragm instead of your chest, and allow pauses. Practice talking a bit slower than feels comfortable. Notice when you're speaking just to escape silence. Train yourself to tolerate that silence. When you talk to a woman, lower your volume slightly. You don't need to project to the whole room. Make her lean in. That creates intimacy. Combine this with eye contact, not staring her down, but actually being there, and you'll notice the vibe shifting. Your body language is sending a message too. Are your shoulders rounded? Are you constantly shifting from foot to foot? Are your hands looking for something to do? Or are you relaxed, open, grounded? If your chest is collapsed and your eyes are always darting around, you're telling her your nervous system is in survival mode. Survival mode is not seductive. The man who is attractive is the one whose body says, I am safe, and I can handle this. Stand with your weight evenly distributed. Let your shoulders drop slightly back. Keep your head level. Avoid locking your arms across your chest as a shield. When you gesture, do it slowly and deliberately. These small shifts change how you feel inside and how she feels around you. Let's talk about texting, because that's where the silent psychology is often loudest. Most men think texting is about saying the right thing. It's much more about timing, tone, and patterns. If you respond instantly every single time, send long emotional paragraphs, and constantly try to restart conversations that have died, you're sending a clear signal. You are my priority. I have nothing better to do. Please keep feeding me small crumbs of attention. That energy is not addictive, it's draining. Instead, you want your texting to reflect the same silent method: calm, intentional, playful, but never desperate. You reply when you're genuinely available, not on command. You keep your messages purposeful. You don't get sucked into endless dry messaging. You move towards real connection in the real world. And most importantly, when the energy is not being reciprocated, you don't chase, you step back. Also, never forget, your entire life is either amplifying or killing this method. If you spend your days scrolling, complaining, eating junk, and avoiding challenges, your presence will feel flat and uninteresting. There is no way around this. Seduction is not something you turn on for a few hours when you meet someone. It's a natural byproduct of the man you are becoming. Read, train, build skills, face your fears, learn to sit with your emotions, surround yourself with people who challenge and support you. The more alive you feel, the more your presence will naturally have depth, humor, wisdom, and unpredictability. That is what women get addicted to. Not a mask, but a man who is fully engaged with life. So, if you want to internalize this silent psychology, here's what I want you to do going forward. First, start with your awareness. For the next week, notice your own patterns. Notice how quickly you talk, how often you fidget, how often you rush to fill silence. Notice how fast you respond to messages, how nervous you get when someone delays answering you, how quickly you overinvest when a woman shows you a little attention. Don't judge yourself. Just observe. Awareness is the first step to power. Second, make small, concrete adjustments. In your next conversation, consciously slow your speech by 10%. Hold eye contact 1 second longer than you usually would. Let there be a 2 or 3 second pause without panicking. When you feel the urge to send a second message because she hasn't replied, breathe, put the phone down, and redirect your energy into something productive. Third, strengthen your inner world. Choose one habit that builds your self-respect. Training, reading, working on a project, waking up at a consistent time, and commit to it for the next 30 days. Every day you keep that promise to yourself. Your presence becomes a little bit heavier, a little bit more grounded. Women may not know what changed, but they will feel it. Fourth, upgrade your standards. Decide what kind of behavior you are not willing to tolerate. That doesn't mean you lecture people. It means you calmly remove your energy when your standards are repeatedly crossed. This communicates louder than any speech. I respect myself. Finally, remember this. The method is not about manipulating her into addiction. It is about becoming so grounded, so present, so intentional, and so aligned with your own values that being around you becomes deeply rewarding. She will feel more feminine, more relaxed, more alive, more seen. She will feel the tension and the safety, the calm and the edge. That combination is rare. Most men either offer safety without desire or desire without safety. Your job is to embody both. When you do, you won't need to chase, impress, or beg. Your presence will do the work for you in silence. So next time you're in front of her, remember, it's not just about what you say. It's about the energy underneath your words, your stillness, your intention, your leadership, your edge, your novelty, your tension. Ask yourself, in that moment, what is her nervous system reading from me right now? And then adjust, not by performing, but by coming back to yourself. Because the man who is fully at home in himself becomes the man she can't stop coming back to in her mind.